Support comes from Goethe Pop-Up Seattle, presenting 55 Voices for Democracy, a podcast that brings together conversations with intellectuals, artists, and activists. Inspired by Thomas Mann's speeches produced for the BBC during the rise of fascism in Europe. Available on Apple Podcast and Spotify.
Hey, it's Patricia Murphy. It's Monday, and this is Seattle Now. Live music is a huge part of Seattle's identity. We love our homegrown musicians, and the city had a vibrant live music scene until the pandemic. In a minute, the Vera Project's Jonathan Zwickel will tell us why now is the time to reimagine Seattle's musical identity. But first, let's get you caught up. More than 1 million Washingtonians have enabled a coronavirus exposure app on their phones. States are using the technology to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. iPhone users can enable the notifications in their phone settings. Android users need to download an app. State Attorney General Bob Ferguson says he'll fight plans to move the National Archives facility and sell the property. The Seattle site contains the history of 272 federally recognized tribes, including drafts of many tribal treaties. Only a fraction of the material has been digitized. The plan is to move the archives to facilities in California and Missouri. And the New York Giants beat the Seahawks Sunday 17-12. King County Public Health Officer Jeff Duchin took NFL coaches, including Pete Carroll, to task for not masking properly. Duchin proposed a 15-yard penalty and loss of down for each offense. Live music venues have been closed for months, and there's just no way to know when things will change or what the future looks like. That's tough for everyone in the music industry, but Jonathan Zwickel can also see opportunity to embrace a different kind of live music experience. He's a former music journalist and co-president of the board of the Vera Project. Jonathan, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
So the live music scene is such an important part of Seattle. It's one of the oldest and most enduring parts of the scene here. What happens to live music if we can't have that the way we used to anymore?
We have it differently, and I think we have the opportunity to have it better. I don't think that we're going to see the standard show format that we've been used to for the past however many years or decades. I don't think that's coming back. In some ways that is a sad fact. I just can't imagine being in a mosh pit again a lot and feeling safe about that for a very long time, or being pressed into a crowded club. I think we're going to be carrying some PTSD from the pandemic for a long time that'll prevent us from feeling comfortable or safe in those conditions. That said, we have an opportunity to create a more community-based and artist-friendly format for performances.
Yeah. Is there anyone who's doing that right now? Anyone who's coming to mind who's a model for what we could be doing?
Well, as far as gathering together in a space collectively, no. Those kind of gatherings are completely off limits for the time being. There have been, tons of live stream concerts. There have been virtual concerts in Fortnite or Roblox, like these VR, environments that are entirely online. And those have attracted millions of people. I think those will continue to exist. And they do provide a means of access for people that otherwise can't go to a bar because they're not, 21 to see a show, or perhaps because they have a physical disability that prevents them from going, or some other type of disability that prevents them from being in a large crowd. During the summertime, you saw a lot of musicians that were actually holding performances in COVID-friendly or COVID-safe, I guess I should say COVID-safe environments, maybe outdoors in their backyards or in a garage, with small crowds, small audiences that were kept socially distant, but allowed to be there and engage in performances that were, wholly curated by the musicians themselves. And, it's interesting, ones that I've spoken to have actually really appreciated the opportunity to have that kind of end-to-end control of their performances, where they can actually set up their backyard in a format that they prefer, and they can bring in a chef friend to provide a meal and, a bartender friend to make drinks, and have a really intimate concert experience. That's a beautiful thing, and it is a silver lining, I think, that we've, come out of the pandemic with.
I love the idea of a more intimate musical experience. I am not a fan of crowds. I never have been. So this could be right up my street. This could bring me back to the live music scene.
I'm really glad to hear that. And, for me personally, as I get older, also, I'm a little less interested in, dealing with crowds who are drunk and paying for overpriced drinks in a concert venue that basically only exists because it serves those overpriced drinks, and that's where its profit margin comes in. That venue system that we are familiar with was already problematic in terms of its business model. I mean, we saw venues shutting down left and right in Seattle simply because they couldn't stay afloat financially. And then, if you talk to artists of color or women or queer artists, a lot of them will tell you that they never felt safe in those spaces. They never felt catered to. They never felt protected or taken care of. You're looking at an industry that is, like many other industries, dominated by white dudes. So here we have the opportunity to create real community-based concert venues or arts venues. And we do have models. We do have an understanding of what those look like and how those can operate. Vera Project has been one of those for 20 years, right? I mean, first of all, any concert venue that stays alive for 20 years, that's kind of like reason to celebrate. The fact that Vera is a nonprofit volunteer-run concert venue that has existed for 20 years is virtually unheard of, right?
And wait a minute, the Vera Project was legendary back in the late 90s, early 2000s for pushing the dance ban out of the city of Seattle. Before 2002, you had to be 21 to go see a show in this city.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You had to be 21. And in fact, if you were under 21, you could not gather with more than 10 friends for the purpose of dancing. That was illegal. It's almost like, the movie Footloose. And in the 90s and in Seattle, a place that sort of prides itself for its, support of music and musicians. Yeah, Vera was born out of a crisis, and we find ourselves now 20 years later existing again in a crisis and actually providing a lot of resources for that same community of under 21 folks who are otherwise marginalized in the music community because they are perhaps trans or queer or people of color or women.
Jonathan, I wonder what you see as the potential barriers to creating a more robust, accessible, equitable music scene in the city of Seattle.
Complacency, status quo, gatekeeping. There's a tendency in this town, I think, to hold on to a certain vision of what the music industry is supposed to look like and is supposed to be. And again, a lot of that comes down to folks who came of age and brought to the fore the sort of grunge, heyday. And, I think, God bless them, there's been a lot of work and a lot of great contributions from people of that era. But I think there also needs to be a recognition that that era has passed. And we have a whole new generation of activists and artists and entrepreneurs who are more interested in creating something new than trying to hold on to something that is old. So I want to see the door open from those people in power right now to the next generation of artists and activists who are creating those safe and community-based spaces. It's hard to let go. It's hard to let go of the way we've done things in the past, especially when we have a real strong emotional connection to those things because of the music that was involved in them. I mean, it's so personal. It's so meaningful on a personal level. But at the same time, I think there's got to be a recognition of a bigger picture. And the need to continue that legacy means changing that legacy or allowing a new vision to enter the picture. And we have a good idea of what that vision looks like. We just have to allow the space for it now.
Jonathan Zwickel is a former music journalist and co-president of the board of the Vera Project, a nonprofit that provides arts opportunities for young people. Really a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Appreciate the time.
The Vera Project is still running events and classes virtually right now. Check them out at theveraproject.org. There's a link in the show notes. Seattle Now is produced by Matt Martin, Clare McGrane, Sophie Reed, Caroline Chamberlain Gomez, and Jason Pagano. Matt Jorgensen does our music. I'm Patricia Murphy. See you tomorrow.